this alternate universe, every club has their biggest legends back in their prime. Whether that's from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, or even as recent as the last 15 years. However, every player can only feature once. And in a lot of cases, the clubs also have their manager returning too. So I'm going to explore this universe for the next 10 seasons and show you everything interesting that happens, starting with Season 1. To the surprise of nobody, in Germany, Bayern Munich by far have the best team, led by the legendary striker Gerd Müller up front. And they won the Bundesliga in Season 1 rather comfortably by 18 points above rivals Borussia Dortmund. However, the most interesting thing about the Bundesliga was that the Golden Boot was in fact won by Miroslav Klose, a striker playing for the 11th place side Werder Bremen. In France, an unbeaten PSG side lifted Ligue 1 with Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Cavani and Mbappe combining. And they have also signed Marc Overmars on a loan to buy from Ajax, strengthening their attacking threats. If I had to put money on before the season began, it would have been on AC Milan to win the Serie A. I mean, just looking at their team is absolutely disgusting from the back going forward. I mean, Paolo Maldini is in there, Baresi is next to him, they have Ronald Koeman. They've signed some unbelievable players too, like Roy Keane. They've gone and signed Roy Keane for £55 million, which is an extraordinary amount. Obviously, Andrea Pirlo's in there. They have Kaká, one of my all-time favourite players. And up front, I mean, they have Marco van Basten. And Marco van Basten is one of the most underrated strikers probably of all time. It's a 3-time Ballon d'Or winner. So imagine my surprise when I see them slump to a 3rd place finish in the league behind Roma and Juventus. Juve with Zambrotta, Nedved and Del Piero somehow lift the Scudetto, but I found myself fascinated already by Italian football in Season 1. Because Inter Milan, who finished in 5th place behind Napoli, signed Andrei Shevchenko from Ukrainian side Dynamo Kiev, which puts him on the wrong side of Milan to real life, and he won the Golden Boot. £42 million well spent if you ask me for the 27-year-old, whose path is now very different. Napoli surprised me too, finishing in 4th place because they began the season selling Diego Maradona to Liverpool for £115 million, and yet they still did very well with Higuain leading the front line. Over in Spain and Barcelona fielding a starting 11 of 10 players more often than not that featured in the mid-2000s during their dominant spell. A front three of Ronaldinho, Samuel Eto'o in the middle, and Lionel Messi in his prime years to scare any opponent. Add in Rivaldo to that mix as well, and there's no surprise that they won La Liga. Although, Real Madrid did run them rather close and actually only lost one game all season and had the same goal difference of 107. And when you see who played up front for them, it's probably unsurprising to see that they scored the most goals, 144, and had the Golden Boot winner. Yeah, R9 Ronaldo, who is keeping both Raul and Alfredo Di Stefano out the team, still scored 32 league goals and 44 in 45 games. It's actually kind of shocking that Real Madrid didn't win the league with Ronaldo R9, Cristiano Ronaldo, who, again, one of the world's best players, Raul, I mean, I loved Raul as your backup striker or backup number 10. Gareth Bale on the right-hand side, Zinedine Zidane in that number 10. I mean, come on. And also Luis Figo, who featured quite a lot off the bench on both wings. Maybe the most surprising league campaign was actually the Premier League though, as despite some shocks in Italy, I thought the Premier League would be dominated by Manchester United and maybe Liverpool, looking at the players beforehand. Especially when you consider that Manchester United replaced selling Roy Keane with Lothar Matthäus to sit next to Bobby Charlton from Bayern Munich for £92 million. However, it was in fact Arsenal who had a fantastic season lifting the Premier League trophy, which wasn't the only thing they won either. They also won the Europa League, but more importantly, they beat Spurs in the final to do so, which made it even better for them. Surprisingly, the Arsene Wenger masterclass not only won the Premier League, but for the first time in Premier League history, Fergie finished outside the top 3, with United down in 4th and Mourinho's Chelsea down in 5th. And they signed Ruud Gullit from AC Milan for £88 million at the start of the season. However, if you thought you could write Sir Alex Ferguson off in just Season 1, you'd be wrong, as they went all the way and won the Champions League trophy, beating Bayern Munich in the final 1-0. Did not get off to a great start either, finishing second in their group behind PSG. They actually lost to PSG 3-1, but in the round of 16 is when they really kicked on. They knocked out Ajax, a team with a lot of fantastic players in there, the likes of Patrick Kluivert, Johan Cruyff is there. at Ajax, age 31, still in his prime really, for how good he actually is, with Nagelsmann as manager, which is rather interesting. The quarterfinal stage, they knocked out Barcelona. That Barcelona with Messi and Neymar's actually there too. Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, Samuel Eto'o up front. And in the semi-final, they knocked out their rivals Manchester City, while Bayern Munich knocked out Real Madrid. Now, Manchester City obviously have a lot more of a recent lot of legends. A lot of these players came from the 2010s. Aguero, David Silva and Kevin De Bruyne being the main three, but they also had the likes of Carlos Tevez. It's still a world-class team, and they still got Pep Guardiola as the manager. So, Fergie better than Guardiola? While you ponder over that conundrum, I'll fill you in elsewhere, as Celtic won the Scottish League, Porto won the Portuguese, and somehow Braga finished above Benfica and Sporting. Johan Cruyff's Ajax lifted the Eredivisie in the Netherlands too, which wraps up season number 1. Guys, I'm being ballsy in my Footium team for this season, season 21. I'm going to go 2 at the back, but with wing-backs. It might be a big mistake. I'm still going to go attacking though, but I think we've got the players to pull this off. Also, Footium dropped me a message to say, hey Luke, anybody who signs up to Footium using your link for Season 21 will not only join the Omega Luke Summer League, which means you get to play against me in a Summer Cup, which is fantastic, and join the league as it was and play against other people, but you could also win a World Cup jersey of your choice. And if that means you could get the Mexico jersey for free, then it's worth signing up for, free of charge. Now, as you know, I've been enjoying Footium for a while. We are at Bampton here. We finished last season in mid-table, which wasn't too bad, really, for season 20. I mean, we didn't necessarily improve the team, but we've done all right. We've survived quite comfortably in the division by 11 points. We've done all right. I don't know how we're going to push on and reach Division 6. I'm struggling. That's why I've made the change of going 2 at the back. But I guess I can test this tactic against loads of you in my Friends League, and of course, because there's so many of you in there, the Omega Luke Summer Cup. This is going to be fun. So again, free to play, Footium, come along and join. Use the link at the top of the description. It's a personalized link, and just join in puts you in the draw to potentially win a World Cup jersey free of charge. So why not do that? Plus, if you beat me, you can brag about it on social media. I might not even respond. I will. So again, thank you very much to Footium for sponsoring the video. Looking forward to season 21 with my new formation. And use that link at the top of the description if you want to join the Omega Luke Summer Cup and win that World Cup jersey. Season number 2 was a little bit more cagey in terms of the transfer market. Some big names did move, but also to bigger clubs, such as David Villa, who moved from Valencia to Bayern Munich for 55 million. Rivaldo joined Maradona in joining Liverpool for a whopping 93 million. However, that still wasn't the biggest move of the summer, because Zinedine Zidane moved to the European champions Manchester United for a grand total of £125 million, as Fergie makes a big statement. Once again in Germany, Miroslav Klose wins the Golden Boot with 32 goals. However, David Villa did make an impact this season, with Bayern Munich winning both the Bundesliga and DFB Pokal as he scored in the final. PSG recorded back-to-back French league titles while remaining unbeaten, and Juventus claim another Serie A title, while both Milan sides struggled to challenge for the title again. Impressively, the Golden Boot in Italy went to none other than Batigol himself, Gabriel Batistuta, who scored 38 goals for Fiorentina in just 36 games. This season, Lionel Messi won the Ballon d'Or while putting up another incredible season in a Barcelona shirt, scoring 34 goals and 23 assists. However, Spain this season was dominated by the 2 Ronaldos under new management, Jurgen Klopp, and they had an insane season, scoring 35 goals each, while Brazilian Ronaldo chalked up 20 assists and Cristiano got 31. Despite Barcelona only losing 1 game and only conceding 17 goals, Real Madrid still finished 4 points above them, an incredibly dominant season. Although once again, the Golden Boot winner came from another different club, as Atletico Madrid's Fernando Torres scored 37 goals in 33 games. No surprises in the other leagues across Europe, as the same clubs continue to win. In the Premier League though, a 28-goal season was enough for Sergio Aguero to clinch the Golden Boot at Manchester City. However, it was Diego Maradona's Liverpool who went on to lift the Premier League title come the end of the season, as themselves and Arsenal were locked in a 2-way title race across the season, which ended in a 6-point gap. It wasn't all bad for for Inter Milan, who defeated Valencia in the Europa League final 1-0. But it was the Champions League final that everybody was captivated by this season. Enrique's Barcelona versus Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. And after Barcelona took the lead, you'd have thought that they would go on to dominate the game. However, City pulled things back level in the second half and then went on to win it when Thiago set up Carlos Tevez to score the winner. In terms of international football, no World Cup has been played yet, but we did have a Euros. Now, the quarter-final stage of the Euros had all of the big hitters in there, and France being knocked out, Portugal as well by Italy, into a semi-final where Italy defeated Belgium and England beat Spain 1-0, which led to an epic final where Italy won 4-3 against England, and you can see some of the big names that are in there. And I think this is a very good Euros that we can see. But Ralph Hasenhüttl is the England manager, which I'm a little bit unsure with, but there we go. I mean, Italy under Sven-Göran Eriksson's also kind of hilarious, given the fact that he managed England, but hey, there we go. There are obviously some other names in world football that haven't exactly featured yet, and that's because they're still sat at their original clubs. I'm talking about the likes of Pele, who nobody has attempted to pull away from Santos yet and is now aged 33. Same as Ferenc Puskás, who you'd have thought somebody would have tried to sign from Hungarian side Honvéd by now. Johan Cruyff is still at Ajax too, which I thought might have changed as well. And Eusebio unfortunately went to Saudi Arabia to chase the type of money that simply wasn't round in his playing days, so who can blame him? The summer window began with Oliver Kahn making a £66 million move to Arsenal, with Roberto Baggio going to Liverpool for £61 million. However, talisman Steven Gerrard left the club to sign for Real Madrid for £99 million. But this season's biggest transfer move was actually made in the January, as Chelsea signed Real Madrid's Raul for over £100 million. No shocks in Germany as Bayern Munich continued their dominance over the rest. Although there was a new top goal scorer in the league, as Leverkusen's Dimitar Berbatov scored 22 goals. Zlatan's PSG finally lost in the French league, but still managed to walk for the title in the third season. Allegri's Juventus do it again in Italy, a league and cup double in this amazing spell of dominance over some incredible teams. 7 points clear of Inter Milan, who had the Golden Boot winner Shevchenko with 29 goals this season. There's no surprise that Cristiano Ronaldo won the Ballon d'Or this season after last season's antics, and he was back at it again in a Real Madrid shirt this season, although his strike partner R9 beat him to the punch, scoring more goals than him with 31. It was a Barcelona player, however, that picked up the Golden Boot in Spain, and it wasn't who you'd think it would be. Luis Suarez scored 28 goals this season in La Liga, which was enough. However, Jurgen Klopp's Real Madrid continued the onslaught, lifting the league title with a 10-point lead over their rivals, as well as beating Barcelona 3-2 in the final of the Copa del Rey to win the domestic double. It was the Premier League that put up the most exciting league campaign this season, as the old battle of Fergie versus Wenger went to the final day of the season, with Manchester United and Arsenal battling it out for the title, and in a season where Dennis Bergkamp won the Golden Boot. But it was Manchester United with the last laugh, lifting the Premier League trophy on goal difference, as both teams recorded identical seasons. And Alex Ferguson's side didn't just do that, they also made the UEFA Champions League final and was up against Jurgen Klopp's Real Madrid in the must-see match of the season, which shocked the world as Manchester United destroyed their Spanish opponents 4-0 in dominating fashion. Looking at it as well, they don't exactly have like unbelievable numbers. I think they just rotate quite a lot. I mean, Zidane had the most goals, 20 goals and 19 assists. He seems like he's got the number 10 role nailed down, but Eric Cantona only played 22 games and got 18 goals. Lothar Matthäus from centre defensive midfielder scored 18. Wayne Rooney played 44 games and only got 18 as well. Bobby Charlton only scored 10? I mean, it does say Elanga played 42 games there. That was on loan at Rotherham. I don't think Anthony Elanga played in this team and dominated this well, especially with the likes of George Best there, who only got a certain amount of games in. He is 33, but he still played a good amount there. I mean, I don't understand how this team has done that well, is all I'm saying. But they have absolutely dominated Alex Ferguson's side and just done incredible numbers and won almost everything. Season 4 and transfer-wise, Fergie might have sold the striker conundrum at Manchester United as Batistuta joined for $103 million in January. They also bagged Javier Zanetti from the Serie A as he signed for £82 million from Inter Milan. But the most interesting move was their rivals Arsenal signing Ronaldinho for £80 million from Barcelona. A bit like with the Scottish, Portuguese and the Dutch leagues, I'll only show you an update on the Bundesliga if Bayern don't win it. Although Miroslav Klose was back claiming the Golden Boot with 31 goals, which was nice to see. I thought it would have been the case in France too, however Monaco caused a shock upset and won the league. Gonzalo Higuain did wonders in Italy, helping Napoli put up a strong season, reaching the Champions League semi-finals and winning the Serie A Golden Boot with 31 goals. They fell to third in the league on the final day behind Inter Milan, and Allegri's Juve only lost twice as they retained the title. But it's the rest of the Serie A that I still find interesting to note. Like Christian Benteke scoring 29 goals for Bologna, who definitely deserves a shout out as they finished in fourth. In Spain, another surprise striker had a breakout season as Boulaye Dia won the Golden Boot in La Liga, playing for Betis. His 31 goals couldn't prevent them from a mid-table finish as Jurgen Klopp's Real Madrid recorded 3 titles in a row. Somehow, Lionel Messi won the Ballon d'Or when in reality, it should have gone to Zidane at Manchester United after the incredible season he had last year. But it's unlike Messi to have any corruption surrounding his career. I'm still a bit bitter about that semi-final, I know. But Zidane did just win the Premier League and then stuffed Real Madrid 4-0 and was the MVP of both competitions in the Champions League. So I don't understand how he won this one. He didn't even win the league. In the Premier League, a new name lifted the Golden Boot as Aston Villa's Artem Milevski of Ukraine scored the most goals with 28. In a strange season that saw Manchester United drop to third place and Arsenal clinch the league title on the final day. Things to note actually is that Manchester City finished in 7th place behind Bournemouth, who don't exactly have some of the best players of all time. I mean, Callum Wilson is like their best player. Eddie Howe is their manager, and Manchester City had Pep Guardiola, who they don't have anymore, David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, like they have everybody. And it also means obviously that Pep Guardiola's been sacked, which is kind of funny actually, to be fair. Rafael Benitez's Valencia won the Europa League this season, beating Lazio 2-1 in the final. But in an amazing back and forth Champions League final, a Daley Blind brace of all players was enough for Liverpool to beat Barcelona in the Champions League final 4-2, in which Messi had a stinker. And I'm not saying anything, but if this man wins another Ballon d'Or, the questions will be asked. What I didn't expect this season was the summer before, where the World Cup, Ukraine beat France in the semi-final. But they faced another team who actually didn't qualify for this World Cup in Italy, and unfortunately the Italians won 2-0. Teenage Luke will be buzzing as Manchester United signed Kaká in January of Season 5 for $103 million. It wasn't even the biggest move of the month though, as Zlatan went to Liverpool for $124 million. Just like in real life though, in the summer window, I was devastated when David Beckham, the reason I support Manchester United, moved to Real Madrid for $120 million. And Zidane left, going to PSG, meaning Manchester United are losing all of their best players this season. For once, Juventus won the league this season while also scoring the most goals across the season too. Backed up with Del Piero winning the Golden Boot with 30 goals as well for the first time. And I feel gassed for the man as he also lifts the Ballon d'Or with David Villa in second and Ronaldinho in third. But Messi, eh? Well, Barcelona, what the hell happened this season? Because Real Madrid won the league by 25 points and Barcelona finished 27 points behind them in fourth. And this might be down to Luis Enrique leaving as Thomas Tuchel comes in as Enrique moves to PSG. Barcelona did win the Copa del Rey, but even the Golden Boot went to Real Madrid as Cristiano Ronaldo scored 28 goals. With all of the transfers out for Manchester United, I thought this season would be a massive struggle. But then I looked deeper into the transfers and realised maybe they were actually quite smart. Because they picked up 35-year-old Beckenbauer for £7 million from Bayern Munich, as well as Kai Havertz too from Leverkusen in a £68 million move. And this rebuild and restructure of Manchester United is something that we've seen Fergie do a lot over his years at Manchester United, and this time it got the best out of Batistuta, who won the Golden Boot. And Manchester United, despite losing both Beckham and Zidane, won the Premier League by 5 points over Liverpool. They also beat Aston Villa in the FA Cup final 2-0. Then they took on their old rivals Arsenal in the UEFA Champions League final, in what turned out to be the highest scoring final of all time. A 7-3 classic, where players such as Arsenal's Johan Cruyff, who signed this summer, scored, as well as Kaká and Batistuta. But Kaká, the new signing, scored a hat-trick, and Manchester United win a historic treble. Bournemouth, though, are definitely the surprise package of this season, as they beat Manchester City, now managed by Mourinho, in the Europa League final 4-2. Manchester United capitalised on their treble success by making the biggest signing of the century, signing R9 Ronaldo from Real Madrid for 162 million. Luka Modric moved from Real Madrid too, and he signed for Liverpool for 130 million. However, their replacement for R9 was signing Miroslav Klose, who had only just signed for AC Milan a year previous. But then in the January, they made a swoop for PSG striker Edinson Cavani for 132 million. Allegri's Juventus made it 6 in a row with a 16-point gap to second too, as every other Italian club fails to compete. At least this season, they don't have the Golden Boot winner though, as that honour goes to AC Milan striker Inzaghi, who scored 27 goals in the Serie A. Despite Manchester United winning the treble last season, Cristiano Ronaldo of Real Madrid won the Ballon d'Or. He also, in the absence of R9, backed it up this season with a Golden Boot in La Liga. No surprise that Manchester United, after strengthening their side, won the Premier League. But the shock was by how much, as they had 17 points more than Tottenham Hotspur in second. It's also not a shock that Erling Haaland won the Golden Boot, but then maybe it is, because he's playing for Crystal Palace. And it's not like Manchester City really need Erling Haaland. They've got Sergio Aguero, who scored 31 goals this season, and David Silva, who's got 22 assists. But I mean, they did just sack Jose Mourinho again. So they've sacked two managers back-to-back in Nagelsmann and Jose Mourinho after Pep Guardiola was sacked previously before that. And of course, a sixth-place finish is just not very good for a very good Manchester City side. In Europe, Everton were victorious in the Europa League with a 1-0 win over Eintracht Frankfurt, thanks to a goal by Rodrigo. Smart bit of business from them too, signing the wonder kid for just £17 million off of Santos 3 years previous. However, in the Champions League, it is 3 wins in the last 4 years for Alex Ferguson's Manchester United, who this time dominated PSG in the final, coming out of a 3-0 win with a brace from Kaká and a penalty goal by R9. Ralph Hasenhüttl is no longer the manager of England. He is now taken over at Belgium, and within the first year brought them their first major trophy, lifting the Euros with a 3-0 win over Ernesto Valverde's Poland of all teams in the final. In terms of other divisions that we haven't quite covered this season, Real Madrid won La Liga by quite a lot, to be fair, only losing and drawing 1 point. Barcelona really dropped off there. In the Bundesliga, it is once again won by Bayern Munich, and a fantastic season for them, again winning by 12 points. PSG reclaimed the Ligue 1 title, defeating Monaco pretty much on the final day of the season by 1 point. Porto win the Portuguese league yet again, as does Ajax in the Eredivisie. And finally, Celtic have gone and done it again in the Scottish League, and to be honest, Rangers aren't even close. In Year 7, the first major signing was the Golden Boot winner Erling Haaland being snapped up by Liverpool for 47 million. Manchester United continued to snatch all of Real Madrid's stars, this time signing Gareth Bale for 83 million. But the biggest signing of Season 7 was in January, as PSG purchased Kevin De Bruyne for a whopping 146 million after only bringing in Pedri from Barcelona 6 months before. Free transfer, Duvan Zapata then won the Golden Boot in the Serie A this season after moving from Atalanta to Genoa after scoring 32 goals this season. That helped Genoa to a 4th place finish ahead of Roma and AC Milan, who had a terrible season down in 8th place. Juve win yet another Scudetto, but Napoli closed the gap. Cristiano Ronaldo is still thriving in Spain, picking up another Golden Boot with 28 goals for Real Madrid in an impressive season. Domestic double winners after lifting the Copa del Rey earlier on, but also going unbeaten in La Liga with Barcelona unable to compete with them. I tried looking for Lionel Messi because he just wasn't on Barcelona's team. It turns out he's moved to PSG and I didn't even realise. He went for £132 million. How did I miss that? But, I mean, massive transfer, and PSG continue to win the French league. Finally, some justice as the Ballon d'Or goes to Manchester United star Kaká, but it ain't all good news for Manchester United fans. Because Tottenham have beaten them to the league title this season, but maybe the most shocking thing is Arsenal slipping to 7th, forcing them to sack Arsene Wenger as their manager. Manchester City striker Sergio Aguero lifted the Golden Boot in the Premier League this season as he hit the back of the net 25 times. But Chelsea are celebrating a Europa League win as they defeated Marseille in the final 4-0. However, in the Champions League, Manchester United are simply untouchable. They got to yet another final and this time destroyed Bayern Munich 5-2, with new signing Gareth Bale winning man of the match as they claim 3 in a row and 4 within the last 5 seasons. However, the biggest shock of the season, Aberdeen have won the Scottish League. Not even Rangers. Celtic have dropped off. Aberdeen come in swooping 83 points. They finally knocked off the big boy Celtic up there. I'm kind of proud, to be honest. After a quiet summer, the biggest moves this season, season number 8, came in January as Inter Milan signed Vinicius Jr. for £82 million from Real Madrid, while Manchester City signed Mexican striker Eduardo Vega for £84 million off of Borussia Dortmund. Arsene Wenger, though, surprisingly turned up as the new Liverpool manager after receiving the sack from rivals Arsenal. Dusan Vlahovic of Sampdoria has gone on to lift the Golden Boot this season in the Serie A, scoring 29 goals. Juventus won the league again, though, as AC Milan dropped down to 13th place. It's not like they have a bad team. They've still got Inzaghi as like their main striker. He's 35, but he's still scored 32 goals this season. They've got Pato in there, who's fairly decent. Isco, who's deciding to leave after not doing very well. They got some cracking players in there. Still have Maldini at 35, who's still one of the world's best defenders. I mean, they've sacked managers. It's Carlo Ancelotti who's finally gone. Have they never replaced him? What's going on there? The Golden Boot winner in Spain is another young talent named Wilson for Real Madrid, who they signed this season from Aston Villa for £40 million. Looks like a quality player who has started his Real Madrid career on fire, scoring 24 goals in 18 games after only signing in January. Coming straight in and winning the league as well as the Golden Boot with his new side as well. Brighton striker Mauro Icardi is lifting the Premier League Golden Boot this season with just 19 goals. As Manchester United retain the Premier League trophy this season while Brighton themselves are down in 10th. One position behind Wengerless Arsenal, who is now managed, by the way, by Julian Nagelsmann. And reminder, this team is disgustingly good and have done terrible. I mean, Bruno Fernandes in an Arsenal shirt, it just makes me want to cry. But Thierry Henry is there, aged 34, but still like absolutely incredible. Same as Ronaldinho, still absolutely incredible. This team should not be finishing in 9th place in the Premier League, especially when like teams above them. I mean, Leeds, Leicester, how are they getting teams this good to finish above them? I mean, it's De Zerbi as the manager, but like the most... Oh, they have Jude Bellingham. Leeds have Jude Bellingham. When did they get... That's insane. What a signing that is for Leeds. Radamel Falcao surprisingly wins the Ballon d'Or this season for Monaco, despite not really doing much to achieve it. It's Atletico Madrid, though, who lift the Europa League with a brace by Fernando Torres and a 3-1 win over Arsenal, who've had a terrible season, of course. But take a guess who won the Champions League. Wrong, it wasn't Manchester United, although Gary Neville is in a PSG shirt and set up the first of 4 goals scored as the French side lift the trophy, beating Chelsea in the final 4-3. Season 9, and this shocking season started with another Real Madrid player moving to Manchester United, and this time it's Jeremy Doku. Dybala then went the other way from Juventus, signing for £156 million at age 31. As did Frankie de Jong, as Real Madrid are really trying to help the other Italian sides by making Juventus weaker. Golden Boot wise in the Serie A, Inter Milan's Vinicius Jr., who was signed from Real Madrid, remember, picked up the award in Italy by scoring 22 goals. And it finally worked. Inter Milan have won the Serie A. Juventus have been knocked off the top spot, and by 22 points as well. So Real Madrid, I think, had a big part in this. Not only did they sell Vinicius Jr. to Inter Milan, who scored the most goals from left midfield, by the way, Juventus selling 2 of their best players to Real Madrid has cost them dearly. They still got Allegri in as their manager, and if you're looking at their team, they still have one of the best teams, but a lot of their best players are in their mid-30s now, so they are going to struggle to try and bring that back. We'll have to see. Barcelona's Mikel Oyarzabal scored the most goals in La Liga, winning the Golden Boot, but again, Barcelona wasn't really challenging for the title. The league itself was won by Real Madrid, but Atletico chucked it away on the final day of the season, drawing 0-0 to Bilbao, costing them the league. The Ballon d'Or winner was David Villa at Bayern Munich, who once again won the league and DFB Pokal this season too. Good year for them. Back-to-back golden boots for Brighton's Mauro Icardi, who I was surprised to see was managed by Jose Mourinho. But so much stuff went on in the Premier League this year. We're just going to have to talk about it. Jude Bellingham and Leeds United have won the Premier League. Out of nowhere, I must admit, because last season they were down in 6th place. Obviously, Manchester United was first. They're now down in 7th. What the hell happened here? I mean, Leeds United has done exceptionally well. Jude Bellingham has led the line there. They've done it like incredible stuff with Roberto De Zerbi as their manager. This is their striker. He is actually, you can't even see it. He is Argentinian. He's very good. But Jude Bellingham, of course, is the star man of that team under De Zerbi, and they've won the league by 4 points above Manchester City. What's happened to Manchester United? Well, Sir Alex Ferguson is no longer the manager there. Has he been sacked? No, actually. He actually resigned because now at 65 years of age, he's become the director of football at Manchester United. Kind of nice for him. I just wish he went out on a better terms rather than finishing down in 7th place in the Premier League. Leeds almost won a European trophy too, but was beaten 1-0 in the Europa League final by Leicester. And PSG have taken over from Manchester United as the dominant side of the Champions League, as they now go back-to-back and 3 in the last 4, beating City in the final. However, PSG somehow failed to win the French league, as Monaco claimed that title again. Final season then, and Ansu Fati moved to Manchester City from Barcelona for 113 million. Bernardo Silva does the unthinkable, and he moves from Monaco to PSG for 125 million. Cole Palmer then moved from Manchester City to Real Madrid for a massive 117 million. Real Madrid's Wilson then moved to Inter Milan and once again had an incredible season, winning the Golden Boot with 24 goals in just 26 games. And what a season they had again, retaining the league title, 7 points ahead of Juventus. Real Sociedad's Alexander Isak won the Golden Boot in Spain with a very bizarre final season, because Valencia went on to win the league title for the first time in the 10 years, but did so in a dominating fashion by 14 points ahead of Real Madrid. PSG striker Kylian Mbappe won the Ballon d'Or this season, which was probably deserved after their Champions League dominance. They were also back on top to claim the French league title too. It was a great season for Tottenham's Harry Kane, who picked up the Golden Boot in the Premier League. His 21 goals helped Tottenham to a 3rd place finish, while Manchester United reclaimed the top spot under new management. He's back, it's Jose Mourinho at Old Trafford, and he's picked up trophies with Sir Alex as his director of football. Because not only did they win the Premier League, but he also guided them to a Europa League win as well, beating Everton 5-3 in the final. However, in what might have been a more impressive feat, PSG have yet again won the Champions League, defeating Real Madrid 6-2 in the final. But as we come to an end, one thing I forgot to mention was the last World Cup. Spain defeated England in one semi-final 2-0 as 2 former England managers are in the dugouts as Fabio Capello manages Spain and Sven-Göran Eriksson is back in the dugout for England. Italy defeated Ukraine in the other semi-final 2-1 with Maurizio Sarri as their manager. But in a dominant fashion, Spain retained 65% possession, reduced Italy to just 2 shots all game in the final, and went on to win the World Cup for a second time with a 3-0 victory. And if that isn't the perfect way to end this video, I don't know what will be. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you are subscribed to the channel. Me and Dad's going to do a rebuild on this database really soon, so make sure you check that out. But on screen right now is another video where Dad is the manager of Aston Villa, and I'm making the signings for him.